Kiwon filling in for Pete today, in charge of Crazy Rich Humans this afternoon. And there was something really interesting in the news. In fact, I was going to choose it for my 3 and 5. I was going to choose it for a weekend segment. And then Kate said, oh, sorry, we're going to cover that tomorrow, Steve. And I said, that's okay, because it's really interesting. I'm just glad we got it on the show. Tell us what the story is about, Kiwon.
Yeah, so there is this billionaire. His name is Daniel Ek, and he's actually the Spotify CEO/owner.
It's from Sweden, right?
He's from Sweden. And he recently put in a bid for the Arsenal Club, which is a famous soccer club or a football club in the UK. And he put in his first offer, which is 1.5 billion pounds.
No.
And then the original owners were like, nope, we're not taking any offer. And then recently he put out another offer, which is 2 billion pounds.
Oh.
And so he's just going to keep going up and up and up, I think, from here on out.
Yeah, I saw the story. I thought it might have been 1.8 billion. 1.8 billion was the original offer, but it doesn't matter. 1.5, 1.8.
Still a lot of money.
Potato.
Up to 2 billion. And this is what I was thinking, right? Is that if you made an offer of that amount, right? $1.5 billion to buy a football club. And Arsenal's, I mean, I'm not a major soccer fan, but that's one of the big ones,
They're
right?
big.
And the owners say no.
Yes.
Do you really think an extra $500 million is going to make them say...
Hey, you never know what's going to tip the scale.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
I was just thinking, like, I read this story last night and I was kind of smiling because I was just like, wow, the rich people are just like on another level. But I was thinking, if you don't need that money, then what difference does 1.5 billion versus 1.8 billion versus $2 billion make? It probably makes no difference. Either you want to sell or you don't. And I think that's what the owners of Arsenal have said, right? Is that they're just not interested in selling the club.
They're not. And they've owned this club for quite some time now, and they have owned several other clubs as well. Also sports clubs in the U.S. or sports teams in the U.S. But they've been saying no, and they've been kind of pushing it. But we'll see if Daniel Ek will actually pick up if they will actually pick up the offer, because he's been a big fan of them since he was 8 years old. And he said this for quite some time. He's like, yes, I've been a big fan. I'm more on the fan side on things. I take the fans' perspective on things. So he's showing how much he really genuinely loves the team.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about. It was a little mysterious in the opening of the show. Like, if you're a fan of something, how much money are you willing to put towards that? Daniel Ek is willing to put $2 billion towards his favorite football.
2 billion
Oh my
pounds.
God.
So
2 billion
USD
pounds,
would be probably about $4 billion. It's crazy. Yeah.
How much is that music
That's a
streaming
lot.
service for?
It's like, I'm a fan of this team, so I will buy it
I will buy
at
you.
all costs.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, the owners of that club have been in a little bit of hot water, I think, with the fans, because that was one of the
Right.
clubs that was supposed to join the Super League, I think.
Oh.
But anyway, yeah, they said they're not interested in selling, and I think Daniel Ek's response was, okay, I get it. You know, if they don't want to sell, they don't want to sell. However,
I'm still going to put an offer.
Yep, and I will remain interested, and if they change their minds, then that offer will stand.
Oh my God, this story kind of reminds me of Jeff Bezos recently buying out a big movie company that's kind of going down. And he's like, the reason why he bought it was, because I've heard that this movie company or production company has been bought out multiple times over the years. But the reason why Jeff Bezos wanted to buy it is because he's so fond of some of like the movies that were produced and that they still hold the rights to it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I love these movies. I'm a fan of them.
Right.
So I'm just going to buy this entire company.
When Dave Grohl, the lead singer of the Foo Fighters and the former drummer of Nirvana, heard that a particular sound recording studio in California was going to close called Sound City, Nirvana had recorded one of their first albums there. So that place had a special place in his own heart. So when he heard that sound studio was closing,
Right.
he bought the soundboard from the recording studio,
wow.
put it in his own house, made a new studio, and then invited other singers who had recorded albums at that particular studio to make a new record together on the same soundboard, except this time at Dave Grohl's house.
Wow.
When you're rich and you like something, you can just get it, I guess, right?
It's different.
And when
It's definitely different.
when we come back, we're going to hear some other examples of that as well. That's our topic for today's Crazy Rich Humans. Here's Garbage. The world is not enough. I wonder if it's insulting when you offer someone $2 billion for something and they say, no, thank you.
I mean, it depends on how much he actually has, though, in worth. If $2 billion for him is just spit change, then it's like, oh yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's like $5 for us. Right?
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's a pretty wealthy guy, so I'm pretty sure $2 billion is not a big drop for him.
So what are some other examples then of celebrities kind of becoming a fanboy or fangirl and just buying things they like?
Yeah, so do you guys know who Mark Cuban is?
Sure, he owns the Dallas Mavericks.
Yes, so he
Yeah.
owns the Dallas Mavericks. He actually bought it in 2000 for $285 million. And currently, its current net worth is $4.2 billion.
Yeah. Mark Cuban is kind of a well-known sports owner in America
is,
because he I think he has like an alcohol company too, maybe.
He does.
Like a tequila company maybe or something.
Yeah, he has a lot of different companies.
He does, and he shows up in places that you don't expect him to be. Like he was on Shark Tank,
Yes.
I think.
He is. He's one of the judges.
Yeah.
So since he's one of the judges, he gets to pick and choose like who he wants to invest in, what company.
Yeah.
And a lot of the companies that he's been picking are those that could do well in his team. Like what he can do
With
to promote
yeah,
them
right.
on the sports field and sports area.
He shows up in cameo appearances in TV and movies too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, so that's one of them. And then another one is Pharrell Williams. So he's a singer.
Yep.
A very famous one. There's one song called Happy.
Sure.
So he actually loves to collect art.
Okay.
And one of the famous art pieces that he loves to collect is from Takasha Murakami and Ka. So they're both two famous, well-known Japanese artists.
Yes, of course we know that.
Yeah, they made the
Kiwon.
they made the invisible sculpture, right?
The invisible.
Yeah, that's what they made. Yeah.
No, Takashi is actually the guy who made. I wasn't too well aware of who he was, but his art piece is the one with the flower, has a smiley face, and has the colorful leaves.
Oh, yeah. It kind of looks really cute, though.
Yeah, it's a very cartoony character. So he likes to do a lot of cartoon drawing.
I thought that was a rapper, Tekashi 629 or something. Isn't he in prison for something?
Yeah, he's in prison.
Yeah. It's a totally different person.
Yes, definitely not him.
Okay.
But yeah, he recently collaborated with him on an art exhibit called Simple Things. And so him and Takashi, they worked on a beautiful exhibit. Definitely looked more like a monster a little bit, but also put little tidbits of simple things such as a ketchup, such as a can of like Sprite, which is very random, but it's very unique.
Very Andy Warhol.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they sold it for $3.8 million.
Well done.
Wow, it's not just about being a fan of the artist and purchasing their pieces. It's like, oh, let's collaborate. But it makes sense with Pharrell because I feel like he's, very multi-talented, very artistic guy. And
He's got his hands in a lot of different projects too.
Totally.
Pharrell has that condition. I think we can say condition. It's the one where you see music notes in colors.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what that's
yes.
called.
I forget the name of it. I always forget the name of it. But he's extremely artistic. He's incredibly. I think he's a genius, actually, myself. So anything that he does seems to turn to gold. Anytime a Pharrell song comes out, it seems to go to number
what
one.
stock is he buying?
Seriously, yeah.
There's so many different things. And another one, actually, Big Bang Top. He actually likes to collect art as well. A lot of it is like furniture, actually. So there's a guy named Ico Parisi. He's a famous Italian furniture designer. He collects a lot of his furnitures and made his own exhibit too with all his art collection. So it's not just like Western celebrities, but also recently Korean celebrities as well as doing it.
furniture, though. You don't often hear that.
No, but I think what was interesting is it's not just furniture for his own house, but he
Yeah.
actually did an exhibition out of all of those pieces.
All of the pieces. So it's really big. I remember he was like, he would post it on Instagram. He'd post all of these crazy arts on Instagram as one of them. And I think he's one of the youngest and biggest art collectors. A couple years ago, he was known to be one of the youngest and biggest collectors.
Pretty impressive.
Oh my gosh.
If you had, I mean, Kate, if you had that level of money,
Yeah.
what would you do? Would you try to buy a sports team? Like Justin Timberlake bought a basketball team, I think.
Yes.
The Memphis Grizzlies, I think he owns,
Oh, he's
right?
such a Memphis boy.
Would you do that? Would you go into the sports world? Would you buy some furniture like Top did? Would you go and buy like a bunch of Picassos or something? Like, where would you have some fun if you had that level of money?
If I have, well, that's like kind of incomprehensible. I definitely wouldn't buy a sports team because I think that would be a disservice since I'm not into sports.
Right.
So I'll be like, I'll leave that to the people who are actual fans of the sport or the team. Oh, maybe an art piece or two, or I don't know. It's really hard to say.
Hang it up here in the studio.
Exactly. It's right there. Do you not see
The
it?
invisible art.
It's the invisible
The
art.
immaterial.
Do you see it?
Kate, I apologize.
I'll bring some tape and I'll mark it up for you.
Isn't that a Takashi? That's a Takashi, isn't it?
Or the Gagarau, or I forgot what his name was.
Yeah.
All right. We'll leave it there for the first hour. Kiwon, thank you very much. Really interesting. Stay with us for hour number 2 to finish up the first. It's a tune from Ricky Martin, The Cup of Life.